The Mexican drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman glanced at his young ex-model wife, Emma Coronel Ispuro, and blew her a kiss after learning that a jury had convicted him on all of his charges in his federal criminal trial on February 12. The trial was held on February 12. Although she had tears in her eyes, Coronel gave him a thumbs up. But things couldn't have gone any worse for Guzman, who, depending on what you read, either appeared emotionless or stunned as U.S. District Judge Brian M. Cogan in a federal court in Brooklyn read the jury's guilty verdicts against him on 10 felony counts. Guzman was facing a total of 20 years in prison if he was convicted of all of the charges. The accusations included operating a criminal enterprise, participating in a plot to commit murder, possessing weapons, engaging in money laundering, and distributing illegal drugs on an international scale. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at inside El Chapo's disturbing life in prison. Yeah, you heard it right. The verdicts imply that it's almost certain that Guzman, who is 61 years old and was the former commander of the Sinaloa cartel, will spend the rest of his life in a U.S. penitentiary. Guzman acquired a $14 billion fortune while importing more than 200 tons of cocaine into the United States. Simply being found guilty of operating a criminal enterprise will result in a sentence of life in prison. The judge set the date for the hearing to determine the sentence for June 25th. Jeffrey Lichtman, Guzman's defense attorney, made the announcement almost immediately that his client would be appealing the verdicts. Given the weight of the evidence that the prosecution has against the kingpin, however, this approach appears to be fruitless. Additionally, he has been indicted by courts in a total of 6 different jurisdictions. The verdict was reached by the jury after they deliberated for a total of 6 days during a trial that began in November of last year. The prosecution called 56 witnesses to testify against Guzman, 14 of them who were once Guzman's loyal supporters. Some of them are currently serving lengthy prison sentences, which they are hopeful will be reduced as a result of their cooperation with the police. The legal team representing El Chapo only presented one witness. The trial of Guzman brought to light some frightening allegations regarding the actions that El Chapo allegedly took while he was in charge of the Sinaloa drug organization in the northwest of Mexico. Witnesses claim that Guzman and other members of the cartel gave narcotics to young girls, raped them, and then raped themselves. They also said that Guzman ordered the deaths of members of his own family. In addition, according to the government's accusations, he brought around $100 million worth of cocaine into the United States by means of airplanes, fishing boats, submersible ships, oil tankers, jars of jalapenos, and a tunnel that ran underground from Mexico to Arizona. The prosecution presented evidence suggesting that Guzman and the other members of his cartel were involved in a criminal enterprise that extended from northern Mexico to drug suppliers in Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama. This enterprise involved the covert distribution and the sale of heroin, marijuana, and fentanyl. One of the government's witnesses, Guzman's former Sinaloa lieutenant, Alex Cifuentes Villa, claimed that in 2012, El Chapo delivered a $100 million bribe to the then president of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, to cancel the country's nationwide search for him after he escaped from prison in 2001. This claim was made by one of the government's witnesses. It was vigorously rejected by Nieto's former spokesman, who stated that under Peña's guidance, the Mexican military identified and apprehended El Chapo in 2016. Following the kingpin's escape from a Mexican federal prison in 2015 via a tunnel created by cartel members beneath his cell. The trial also had some very dramatic moments. Lucero Guadalupe Sanchez Lopez Sanchez, who had been Guzman's mistress in the past, became emotional when testifying and admitted that she still had affections for him. During her testimony, she broke down in tears. She also related how in 2014, when Mexican Marines and US officials invaded the house in Mexico that she lived in with Guzman, she followed him as he raced from their bed naked into an escape tunnel and avoided capture. She did this so that she would not be held accountable for his actions. A day came when Lopez was scheduled to testify, and Guzman and his wife Coronel showed up in court wearing red velvet coats. This was seen as a display of unity against the ex-mistress. Coronel appeared to take pleasure in the attention she received from the press reporters both inside and outside the courthouse, as well as from her 400,000 followers on Instagram. She was meticulously dressed at all times. The prosecution of this case by the United States government was dependent on the aid of a wide variety of federal law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the DEA, Homeland Security, and the Coast Guard. as well as cooperating agencies in Latin American countries. Security concerns during the trial prompted federal officials to order mandatory active shooter training for courtroom staff and deploy police snipers and bomb-sniffing dogs. However, nothing catastrophic took place. Judge Kogan ordered that members of the jury, for the protection, remain anonymous and under sequestration for the trial. Earlier, the federal grand jury that indicted Guzman reported that he employed sicarios, or hitmen, who carried out hundreds of acts of violence, including murders, assaults, kidnappings, assassinations, and acts of torture at the direction of the defendant. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.